Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Advaita, J. Lakhani, Hindu Academy. So I saw this. It's gonna be about a two-parter, and I don't know if I'm gonna say much on this one or not because it's J. Lakhani explaining, I guess, in terms of how he understands Advaita. So let's go get started. Hmm.
Sri J. Lakhani, an excellent communicator of Hinduism in Britain and director of the Hindu Academy, the Vivekananda Centre in London. Over the last 15 years, Sri Lakhani has given talks on Hinduism to thousands of youngsters at English schools, colleges, and universities. If you wish to get a glimpse of the modern, dynamic face of Hinduism, then do not miss this series of talks.
Although there is no resolution as to why infinite is appearing as finite, do we just accept as a matter of faith that whatever infinite is appearing as a finite is something right, or some experiment that's happening? Or is it that we have got limited imagination as to why we can't understand what is the reason for infinite appearing as finite?
You see, is this lack of knowledge, for example, this is what he's asking. Is it just that our locus of our range of abilities to understand or grasp or get our mind around this idea is somehow lacking, so we can't understand? No, you see, that's what I said. It is far more than something that is knowable or unknowable. It is something to experience. So Advaita you see, this is why Advaita is a unique feature. If religion was merely intellectualizing, sitting drinking cups of coffee and speculating on God and our essential nature as eternal soul, suppose it was just that, it would have very limited validity or importance. It's just purely something to have after dinner. In reality, religion is something so intense, so dynamic. It is only when we get buffeted by our routine experience in daily life that we become mature and wish to try and dig deeper in what is the nature of this reality. It is when we dig deep, because we are buffeted and we see all this contradiction in our routine life. And as I told you, keep chasing after pleasure and pain keeps thumping you. And you still carry on as if nothing has gone wrong. I mean, you have to, some stage you must mature. So when the maturity arises, this mere intellectualizing, trying to come to terms with it through in an intellect, won't satisfy. You need to rise above. You need to sort out forever for yourself. And for yourself, not for somebody else. So it is a very intense experiential aspect. This is why Advaita is so powerful. It is intense experience for yourself, not by your prophet, not sitting in front of a god, bowing down. No, don't you know you are that? It is this very tremendously intense personal experience that gives this unique feature of Advaita. So it is a very powerful, very strong kind of experiential aspect of Advaita that makes it very attractive. This is the final resolution. Everything else, in fact, this is a unique feature of Advaita. The various other ways you use, say through meditation, through selfless action, through devotion, everything will culminate into this dynamic experience that will raise your level of awareness to the highest. You are that. Do not be mean to yourself. Do not be small-minded. In fact, there's a very marvelous the two texts which are very kind of standard for Advaita philosophy are the Ashtavakra Samhita and the Avadhuta Gita. And in the Ashtavakra Samhita, look at the arrogance, if I can use the language of the preacher. Here the teacher is Ashtavakra, 8-year-old child. The student is this very majestic, elderly Janaka Raja. And here is the conversation. And this little boy says, "Oh my son," he's telling that, "Oh my son, learn this. Your only limitation is that you think you have to meditate to discover yourself. You are that. And your limitation that you would go through meditation, that is your problem." And look at the language. You say, what? But you see, he's talking from experience. Another unique feature of Advaita is this. You see, if you hear about Advaita from somebody who is talking from experience, Anubhav no rankar, Anubhav no ranko hoy. There is a ring of truth in the voice. It has tremendous power. You see, he can shove you into Advaita. When you hear it from somebody who is talking from experience, you see, he has the power to nudge you. So here, even though we don't like to rely on anybody because we are that, it's nice to have somebody like him nudging you, saying, look, I experience, you, so can you. Go for it. So Advaita is an experiential. This is why it is not airy-fairy. It is not mere intellectualizing. It is not mere supposition. It is experiential religion to the heart, at the heart of matter. Experience this oneness with the Spirit. You are that. Don't be small.
I just want to ask, as a follow-up.
Oh, real quick. So essentially what it's saying there, to just kind of summarize how I understood it, the guy was asking is Advaita just fate-based? And Lakhani here was saying that it's not fate-based, it's something that what makes it unique from other things is that you have to experience it because you are that. Well, I'm assuming other religions are essentially faith-based. So I think I mostly understood that, and I've heard it many times saying that you have to experience it. You know, it's not faith-based. You experience it. I think that's about it so far.
You are that. Don't be small.
I just want to ask, as a follow-up of that, how does one actually go onto that path? And why is it they say that there is no knowledge without a guru? And that is the most difficult thing to find, because sometimes it's better to trust yourself and your inner voice than another person who may claim to be a guru. So how do you go about finding the right person?
You see, this magnanimous Hindu religion, this magnanimous nature of this religion allows all of us to make spiritual progress in the way that suits us. It gives us permission. This is why it's called spiritual democracy. It allows all of us to progress in the manner that suits our own requirement. You see, we may fumble through, we may look for teachers, we may get disappointed by them, then we grow a bit more mature. The real teacher, says Advaita, don't you realize the real teacher is you? All these externals, including this Grandmaster, all these are external indicators. This is Advaita. Today I'm going to talk of uncompromising Advaita. No bowing down to anybody. So this Advaita says, have heart. Don't you know? The thing that is here is the real teacher. The stirring up within you will guide you, will take you to the final destination. These have been useful signposts in your spiritual journey. Treat them as that. Use them as you require them, when you require them. And there's no need to be arrogant. For example, if I like to talk of Advaita, sometimes I do it, but then I keep hiding behind Vivekananda. I say, answer him, I can't do this. You see, I have fun. You see, this is another unique thing about Advaita. With Advaita comes this lovely stuff from Swami Vivekananda. He says, Advaita, when you look at the rest of mankind, you no longer see them as up and down, higher and lower spiritually. You just see a romping bunch of children let out to play. Advaita, this is the thing. Do you think anything is to be achieved by this one becoming many? Because if something is to be achieved by the one becoming many, all of us, then that one was lacking in something. It is not. The only thing is mucking about. He's just having fun. Romping children let out to play. That is what humanity is all about. We are all out to play. And then there's another thing that comes from Swami Ashokananda. This is very unique. He says, unfortunately what we do when we are in the search of Advaita, we become impatient. We want this dynamic experience that I am the spirit to hit me tomorrow morning. We become impatient. He said, why do you want to be impatient? He said, Swami Ashokananda, I love his language. He said, why do you want to be impatient? What is going to happen? What are your plans after you've seen that you are the spirit, after you found God? Is anything else going to happen after you found it? So why are you rushing? This is the final, don't you see? Take your time, enjoy. You may see, at the same time, I'm not saying that you become so laid back that you don't make any effort to experience. Look, I'm telling you, the jackpot is within you. There is a real jackpot. And if you know there's a jackpot, surely you must somehow, tap into it. And this is what Advaita is telling you. But it's also at the same time saying, do not be impatient saying that tomorrow morning I must sit and close my eyes and I should be hit by Advaita. It will unfold in its own time. And as I said, what's the rush? You've got infinite time to play with. And after you hit him, what's the left there? So why are you rushing? Take your time. Take a scenic route.
And this is kind of the idea that I had with my journey. I keep pointing to this poor character from Acharya Prashant's video, where it's a student where it's like, I'm running out of time. I need to hurry up and do this. I need to focus on this. I'm like, dude, you're when you're forcing yourself to do something, you're not gonna get there. So my mentality is along those lines where I'm not sitting there saying like, what, I'm not trying, but it's, how do I say? I guess it's kind of like going with the flow of life and learning as you go along with the flow. Essentially, I'm not forcing myself to do anything necessarily. I'll do things as they come along and as needed, but I'm not going to force myself to do things unnecessarily. Because I think that comes with suffering. When you're trying to force yourself to do something, you're going to suffer if you don't do it. So, as I do this video, it's like, hey, now's a great time to learn a little bit of Advaita Vedanta. It's perfect. I'm not forcing myself necessarily. I want to do these, of course, but it's just a matter of finding the time. Luckily enough, I've forced myself to do the time, but at the same time, I do need to do them, and I don't suffer because of it. But again, it's not forcing yourself, and it's also how do you say, enjoying life as you go through the journey. So, if I get another life, then so be it. If I don't, then I don't. I'm not gonna, I have to accept whatever I get. Fighting something I cannot control, definitely not enlightenment. But you're gonna say, well, then you have to you have to, how do we say, study and meditate and do all these things to become enlightened. But then we go back to, you're forcing yourself to do it, which I don't believe will get you into enlightenment. Maybe some people can. I've said this before. Maybe some people can force themselves into it. I think the vast majority cannot.
I think in the Western world, especially the other faith, they think God is a third person. Even a cricket player, when he scores his century, looks up and said, "Oh, thank you, God." I mean, has Vivekananda failed in his to decipher the difference between us and the gods?
As I said, there is a very lovely reconciliation between the theistic mode and the non-theistic mode. And it becomes visible. You see, in the Puranic story, you may think it's pure narration and pure exaggeration and nonsense, but in reality, there are a lot of spiritual gems in these stories, in the narration of Hindu tradition, that they're sitting there or scattered all over the narratives. And one of them is this character of Hanuman. You see, at one stage, I think it's the Adhyatma Ramayana, Ram asked Hanuman, "How do you look at me? What do you make of me?" I said, this is the master and the servant, kind of exchanging, "What do you think of me?" Standard stuff. And Hanuman was equal to the task. You see, he responds. He's got very good repartee with Ram. He says, oh master, when I think of myself as this body and I think of you as that body, then our relationship is that you are the master and I am your servant. I adopt that attitude. I am your servant and you are my master. But then he said, but then when I look within, I discover, oh dear, I am Ram. Who is this chap? You see the way you reconcile the Dvaita and the Advaita. And this is a unique thing that comes in the story of Ramakrishna. He said, look, as long as you operate in this world, be careful about Advaita. Advaita can make you arrogant. I mean, mostly, let me give an example. I used to belong to a Advaita Yahoo group long time ago. And there was one masterful person who used to write such lovely stuff from Advaita, pulling out from the Ashtavakra Samhita and Advaita Gita, and all they were saying. I said, my God, I must meet this man. He must be charged up with the spirit. So I told Meena, we must meet him when he comes to London. He lives in USA. He's coming to visit us and we're going to take him out for dinner. It'll be a fantastic experience. We're going to meet a spiritually charged up person. When I met up with him, it was a real sheer disappointment. He was more ordinary than the ordinary. Looking at his money changing and no love of spirituality. He was such an ordinary man. So for him, Advaita was merely getting an intellectual kick, because he can explain this in terms of that and this in terms of that. This is one of the unique tricks of Advaita. When you say, suppose you ask the question in Advaita, this is standard thing. This comes quite standard in Advaita tradition. This is considered to be the number one trick of Advaita. You say, why did the infinite become finite? You want to ask you the question. So Advaita will smile, say, oh yeah, they twist the mustache, they know the answer. They say, look, where did the question arise? In the state of illusion, in the state of this kind of appearance. So the question is only in appearance, not real. Because in the thing that the spirit is not at all affected by cause and effect. It is only when it appears in this world it becomes space, time and causation. In that it is pristine. So causation doesn't hit the spirit. So you can't ask the spirit, what caused you to become many? So I don't have to answer you. Because you asked me a question in a field where it is a matter of appearance. So the question is just apparent question. I don't need to answer you why the one became many. This is how we get so, and he said, wow, I got a kick out of it. Yeah, see? The question arose in a state of delusion, so it is irrelevant. So like suppose a person is there and he's kind of drunk, and then he's trying to make sense, and he says, I can't make sense, and then then he says, but it was in a stupor that I couldn't make sense because I was not in my normal. So in a sense, they are saying the Advaita, when it becomes many, then all these questions arise and you don't want to answer it. There's another funny story. A person went to a psychiatrist. He said, I have got a big problem. Last night I was in a dream, and you see, the psychiatrist said, I must analyze now what happened. In the dream, I was locked in a room and I was struggling and I was sweating and I saw a door. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. The psychiatrist, yes, what happened? And I sweated even more and I became even more desperate and I pushed and I pushed. What happened? Said the psychiatrist, nothing. And then I woke up in a sweat. Explain, what was this dream about? The psychiatrist, now this is tricky. He said, when you are pushing, was there anything written anywhere? He said, yes. Something was written on the door. He said, what was written on the door? He said, pull. I'm just digressing. I'm lightening our subject. So this kind of lovely kick that Advaitis get is worthless. You see, it's not intellectualizing. You're not trying to fob off. It's not a cop-out. Advaita is the first an experience of really recognized for the first time. Now, these are lovely words of Swami Vivekananda. He said, do not seek God. See God. You see, this world of appearance, you think, don't you see, this is God. Forget about look beyond the appearance. Do not seek God. See God. Just rub your eyes and look around. Don't you see? What is all this? Appearance, it is really God. It is like, for example, suppose we go to the seaside and you see the waves and you get caught up with the waves. You're looking at the waves all the time and the waves come and drop and you keep looking at the waves and you get caught up with the waves and you lose sight of the sea. In the same way, when the waves kind of settle down, they become the sea. So even though the waves are not the sea, the waves indicate the sea. In the same way, when we see this world, this multifarious world, with all these different facets, we are really seeing the wave of the sea of Advaita, the spirit, churning up all this variation. So instead of running away from life, instead of hiding, this is what the wrong people do. The people who don't understand Advaita, this is what they run away from life, saying, oh, it's all illusion. No, don't you see? This is your God playing with you with all the forms. Boom! He manifests, it appears. Play with this living God here and now. Don't run away from it. See through it. See through it. Do not seek God. See God. Look at language. Just one curve changes the whole way we view the concept of Advaita. Not something to run away from. Something to embrace. See this world. Open your eyes and see your living God here in front of you. In all these forms playing with you. Embrace this God. Play with him. This is what life is about. Not running away, not hiding. These are the lovely teachings of Advaita. So I think when you ask a marvelous question, you see in the stories, the Puranic stories, marvelous truths are hidden in this gem. So here we see Hanuman showing both the colors. That when I am stuck with the body, I take on an attitude regarding spirituality. I say, as long as the ego is in me, I will think about spirituality that I am the servant and God is my master. And when I transcend the ego and search within what is my essential nature, I know I am that. I am Ram. This is why in this very funny story says I shows Ram inside in his chest. He's saying that his essential nature is Ram. He is the spirit. He is God. So in this marvelous story, you get this kind of deep philosophy kind of being thrown at you of reconciling Dvait with Advait. You see, these stories in a way kind of show one of the unique features of Hinduism. There's another story which again shows up this unique feature about Hinduism. In the story of Dhruva, you see Dhruva worship Vishnu, Om Namo Shri Bhagavate Vasudeva. He repeated day and night, the little chap 5-year-old, until Vishnu appeared in front of him. And of course, when God appears, your hair will stand up and you know you've done your job, he's here now. So he opened his eyes, saw Vishnu. This is real in Hindu tradition. And when you see God as a personality in front of you, that is in color, a real color, vibrant color. The rest of mankind appears black and white, real color. Here is Dhruva seeing Vishnu. He looked at Vishnu, Vishnu is smiling at him, things look fine. And this little chap is inquisitive, bit nosy. He said, Vishnu, the kundal, the thing that you wear on your ear lobes, why are they not moving? They seem to be stuck. So Vishnu was equal to the task. He said, my boy, you have created me like this, you make it move. You see, this little story hides very deep teachings. It says that, look, you can reconcile the idea of God as a personality or as a principle, and when God comes to you in the form of a personality, the personality he will adopt is the one that you chose. Don't you see? You mold him. He will fit in the mold. He will come and fill the mold for you. If you wish to see God as Buddha or as a Christ or as Vishnu or Shiva, he will not come in a different disguise saying, I'll mess you up. He will come in the form that you want. Suppose you want a baby Krishna, he'll come as baby Krishna, and not as a hairy, elderly Krishna. He'll come as a little baby Krishna. So you fit, don't you see? You are showing the power of Advaita. You, with your own power, can mold God into the form of your choice. And the poor man comes in front of you in the form of your choice. In this lovely story, you see the Vishnu story, we see this power of Advaita. Again, in a theistic mode, but gently plugged in. You give more, don't you see? You create God. You give the mold and the poor chap has to fill it up. I told you, he's stuck with you. You are the one who can bring him and fill in the mold of your choice. He plays ball because why? You are the source of infinite power. You see, the reason why this teaching of Advaita is so crucial in the modern times is this. It empowers mankind. It raises the level of our own importance. I'm not saying in an ego-centered manner, because this idea that you are the spirit demolishes the idea that you are the ego. Then you see, you are no longer linked with one body and mind, you are linked with the whole of the living kingdom, the whole living creation. You feel tremendous affinity for the rest of mankind. And this is visible in the story of Ramana Maharshi or in the story of Vivekananda. It is visible. They are not in love with God. They are in love with mankind. They love mankind. Because they feel that they are no longer here. They are living in everyone. They feel this tremendous oneness with the rest of living kingdom, especially with mankind. And this becomes visible. So here you see Advaita in full flow. Not limited by one human being, but spread in everybody. It is this same spirit that lights up everybody. And once you touch base with it, you are no longer linked with one body and mind. You are linked with the rest of creation.
What I want to ask.
Okay, so the reason why I laughed, like pretty much very early on after I paused, was the sheer fact that it said I'm in the Yahoo group for Advaita. Yeah, Advaita. I'm like, oh my gosh, haven't heard that in a while. It's like saying, oh yeah, I was just in my Facebook, not Facebook, sorry, my MySpace. I'm using MySpace. I don't know if that's still around or not, but it's kind of like that. So this last part seems like it's talking about bhakti yoga, but also kind of had a little bit of a twist to the end there. Goes that twist going back to Advaita. So he was talking about how we essentially shape the God that we believe in. When they were talking about the earlobes, like why are your things you're wearing not moving? It's like, well, you're the one who created me. You make it move. Essentially, that we are the power. And he talked about how when you realize your essential nature and who you are, that you're not the ego. It's a little bit worried that, a lot of people, when they hear that they are God or whatever, they'll have an ego, kind of become egocentric or have like a God complex. And I like the fact that Lakhani here corrected that by saying, not in a egotistical sense, but more of a caring godly sense that you see God in people or all around you. And not that you're the supreme being that has total power and control over everyone. And then, so now we see in terms of Bhakti Yoga that we are able to see the God in the form and shape that we wish, and that it'll have kind of like, in a sense, our identity to it, or how we see God. And then towards the end there, he kind of said about how, again, the earlobes thing, about how you created me this way, you make it move. I can essentially saying that we have the power, we are the power behind this thing, or even God that we see is essential, I won't say subject to our approval or subject to our understanding, or or vision of God, but more along the lines is that we are able to create gods. Not in an egotistical sense, but just the fact that we are so powerful that we create these beings that we oddly worship. Alright, so I'm going to pause it right here. It's a perfect halfway point, as a matter of fact. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up to stand down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.